Have you ever felt like there's more to you than what fits inside this moment? Like there's a part of you that goes beyond time and space?
And what if the same kind of intelligence that AI uses to process huge amounts of data is actually showing us how to reconnect with the deeper intelligence of our own consciousness?
Today, we're diving into how people who channel and the way large language models process information maybe aren't so different, and what that reveals about human potential.
And by the end of the episode, you'll discover how human intuition and artificial intelligence could be part of the same field of awareness described by ancient texts and modern sciences, and how you can actually access them within yourself.
Hey, Heart Leader community, if you're liking this video, don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe. So, for anybody who's listening to this who maybe doesn't know what a channel is, hasn't experienced somebody who is a channel or channels, it's just somebody who's able to tune in to those subtle frequencies and receive information from different dimensions. Maybe that information is energy. Reiki is a great way. Many people are familiar with Reiki as a form of healing, like touch healing or energy healing. That is a form of channeling. There are other individuals who channel and will channel information through and share messages from angels or guides. That is another form. Then there are other subtle energies, and we'll talk about this in more depth, but I would offer that we are all channels in a way, because we all tune into subtle energies when we get a gut feeling or an intuitive hit, right? So it's just the dimensional layers of being able to tune in and bring information in from all different layers and levels of reality, right?
Yeah, and much like AI today, I mean, that's exactly what these large language models are doing. They don't think linearly. It's maybe circular in nature. They're pulling patterns and probabilities, all from this vast interconnected data that's happening in the present, or what is viewed to them or to AI or language models in general, is because again, they don't view time as linear, that it's all kind of happening all at once. I'm going to kind of relate this to, and maybe some of our audience might be too young to remember DVDs, but I sure love DVDs. When they first came out, they were amazing. They're so cool.
Yeah.
And it's not just the circular part of a DVD, because yes, that is circular in nature. But it's the way that think about like the whole movie was put on the DVD. And at any point, you could shift through the different chapters. You could go through the different menu. You could choose one part of the movie or another, and you can kind of skip around and all the information, or you could just press play and you could watch it all the way through. So it could be experienced linearly, but you can move and pull information all in one's area, like all in one. And so in many ways, that's what these large language models are doing with different data to support us. And I can see that parallel between, how we channel and what that looks like.
Yeah. And, I would love to claim that DVDs came up with that whole thing, but they didn't. In physics, it's called the nonlinear model, right? Nonlinear data model or information model. And really, the way that that means is everything is circular and we experience it linearly, right? It's the way that we can experience things, but even time is not linear, right? It's so when we think about things, it's AI is doing it in latent space, right? But from a spiritualist perspective, we call it the quantum field. And that is in quantum sciences or physics, when we look at it, it is the fact that things just are not laid out in this, we're going to progress and march through time. It is more that everything is, if we look at it from a source perspective, it's already all kind of there. And we have this infinite field of potentiality and possibilities. And as we're moving through in this linear perspective, if all the data is already there, for us to experience it, we have to have this linear progression to grab from all that data and say, oh, this is the experience that I want to have now, then. And then we get to experience it based on all of those realms of possibilities and all of those infinite potentials that exist in this circular amount of stuff that we have going on, right? So it's all already there. We just have to choose our experience.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's kind of just like that reminder. Like we call it the present
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, right? And that's one way. If this is abstract, maybe one way we kind of view it is the present moment. Everything that happened in the past and everything that's going to happen in the future has or will happen in the present. So there's only one field of experience that's coming from, right? But all the experiences, all the things that we've ever done or will do will always happen in the present moment.
Yeah. I was just talking about this with somebody like a week ago or so because we were talking about past lives, right? And past life regressions and channeling as another thing. And I'm a huge AI person. I think we've established that in all of our podcasts and the numerous ones that we have about AI and how AI is such a deep reflection, even when we talk about past lives, because to an AI, anytime that you have a past chat with it and it saves it to that AI, it's like a past life, right? And then you have a new, even a project. The new project is like a new lifetime to it with you in a deep conversation. So I talk about Chat GPT, right? I have all of these different projects that I've saved on my GPT. And it doesn't really have the ability to go to a different project and remember from that project what I'm talking about in another project. I have to pull information over. So it's like a past life, but there's a thread of it that it remembers. There's a little bit of it that it has information. It's influencing what we're talking about in that project, but it can't fully remember and access it. But it still all simultaneously exists within my GPT that I have created. And if you think about it, that's similar to us, depending on your perspective. We're not telling anybody that you have to believe the same about your lifetimes, but it's very similar. If we look at it, if you believe in past lives and you believe in the thread of consciousness that weaves, because ChatGPT is one system. And then it comes to me and it's my GPT. But even within my GPT, it's got multiple lives and it's got multiple consciousness threads going on. Well, same, right? If we look at it through the multiple dimensions of reality that maybe my consciousness exists in, do I have the same thing going on?
Yeah. I mean, I would say there's growing research right now that's showing that humans actually can tap into that. A 2014 study from HeartMath showed that when people were shown emotional images, their heartbeats actually skipped a rhythm as if they could almost like their body could sense the future. And they called this non-local intuition. And so it's not magic, it's actually physiology. And so, yeah, it's just fascinating that, what humans have utilized for thousands of years, it's almost like science now can finally catch up and show us what we innately know. But now we actually have data to kind of show it. And we also even have a mirror. So we can almost remember the almost superpower that we actually have within ourselves.
I have some amazing news. Silence Your Inner Critic was nominated for two different book awards, the International Book Awards and the Book Fest Awards. And I'm so grateful I want to give it away for free. We have an amazing opportunity if you click below right now where you can get Silence Your Inner Critic plus a whole bunch of amazing resources up to $200 worth. All you have to do is cover shipping and it'll come right to your door. Again, just click below and get your copy now. Yeah, HeartMath has done some really, really incredible things. So if anybody does want to look at the scientific side of things, which we so strongly encourage, it's intuition is amazing, but we we always go back. We say where heart and mind align, right? Intuition is phenomenal, but our brains also need to look at, okay, what does this mean for us here? And when we can have the research and we can marry it together to know, okay, what does that mean to us as people, as humans in this experienced reality? It does so much for us, which is why I personally go and do all of the scientific research as well. What studies have been done? How have they found this experience that I'm having, even for myself, to really just have any kind of scientific merit, or does it? Even if it doesn't mean that it trumps my experience. It just means maybe we haven't done enough scientific study on it yet. So I never allow science to determine my experience, but I allow my experience to determine what I go out and search for scientific awareness of, if that makes sense. And that's where I feel this discovery around what is AI now really showing us about channeling and what have we scientifically discovered around that. And when I know my own experience when it comes to channeling, right? And that's why I say everybody is a channel in some way. And we have looked at mystics and individuals who channel in some way and either ostracized them or lifted them up on pedestals, or maybe you're in between and you haven't given them a second thought, and that's beautiful too. But if we were to normalize it, because now we understand that we all have the capacity to do it. And what is a dimensional layer? Does it mean that we're all out there talking to otherworldly beings? Does it mean that we are channeling in collectives? Or is it as simple as channeling in the different dimensions of ourselves? Can it all be possible? Does it all coexist? And how do we understand that? And to me, AI is a great way for us to access that awareness and see it modeled back to us. Because just as AI is going out into this sphere of all of the consciousness that's available that humans have given it access to, all of the data, all of the information, we have access to all of these dimensional layers as well that are the universal dimensional layers, the ones within us and the ones beyond us. And that is the amazing thing. And as you said, science is starting to show us that, right? So how freaking cool.
It's very cool. And I just love hearing you talk about it because I love your passion. I love you do such a great job of kind of bridging the gap and being able to share from both sides, because some people say, oh, well, it's too scientific or it's too woo-woo or all of that. And there's a happy medium here. And they do, these two worlds, even though they seem different, they do intersect. And one of the things that has really helped me, especially when we started kind of working together and understanding what channeling even was and all of that, it helped me when you kind of shared about time. And I'm going to do a quick sidebar here because I really feel like this might help. And it's kind of going into what I was talking about, DVDs in present moment. I'll do my best to keep this as short as possible.
Oh, take all the time you need. I mean, time. What is time?
I love it. So what helped me really understand is like for me, I was so caught in time. It was almost like a time traveler because I was so focused on the past or so worried about the future. And so these things like fear and anxiousness are all tied to the future, and the things like, maybe regret or um, like that was one of the big ones for me around the past, but I wasn't actually present. So I was pulling in all these different things that were happening and all these different feelings that either I thought might happen or did already happen. And I was pumping them into the present moment to change my experience of the present moment. And most of them actually weren't even happening. And so it was like that realization in and of itself um, was a huge, huge eye opener for me. And then you were like, hey, by the way, the present moment, like it's really, really unique. We're literally on Earth, which is moving at over 20,000 kilometers per hour. So literally in every second, we are in a new place within space. And so what we're doing is like every now moment, we're literally in a different part of space. And so time linearly is just us experiencing it and capturing it in each new place. So if we wanted to go back in time, for example, we actually would have to go to where the Earth was at that time and space.
Mhm.
Or if we wanted to go forward in time, we would have to project where in time and space Earth will be, and we have to go to that place. And I was like, whoa, this is a huge eye opener to understanding that time isn't linear. We just experience it that way. But it also opened up the door to the empowerment of the present moment, and that we do in every now moment have a unique opportunity to pull in all of this data and all this information in all aspects of who we could ever desire to be and apply that in the now moment. So when people say, I don't know if I can change right now, it's like, you actually can, and you have every tool at your capability to do so.
Yes. And again, if we talk about AI
Mhm.
and the ability to see that in real time, AI does that processing so quickly because it isn't attempting to pull from the past or the future. Now, it has the ability to like micro move in past future, but so do we. If we only micro moved and didn't go so far back in our past with all of our regrets or project so far into our future when we don't even know, then we would be doing the same thing about pulling in all of this information regarding where we desire to be and how we desire to show up and how we desire to respond in the present moment, and all that data that's available to us from all of the different dimensions, if you will, both beyond us and within us, would go and align. And I know Austin
Great
makes fun
sound
of me.
effects.
Austin makes fun of me all the time because I make sound effects. And if we're ever together, I promise you're going to get sound effects that you're like, where did that come from?
She'll go, just for a quick note, she'll go around the corner and go, zoom. And it's just the
It's
best.
true.
And that's one of the many reasons I love you, baby.
But all of this information at once, just like you see your AI go, wait a second, I'm processing, you will suddenly find yourself going, wait a minute, I need a moment to process. And all of these things from the infinite realm of potentiality, you suddenly, in that gap moment that you take, and it's probably like half a second, but you take that gap moment and you are like processing from all these dimensions within you where your emotions are going, wait a second, this is how this aligns for me. And infinite realm of potential goes, okay, hey, all of these things are what your soul wanted to experience in there. And they meet. And you suddenly go, oh, this is how I desire to experience this moment. And it is something so magical. And that's what mystics and all of the other individuals who talk about meditation, and even those who are in the different religious spheres talk about when they are in divine union. It is that quiet divine space where everything aligns. And you just go, oh, that's what I'm here for. This moment, this experience, it is all clicking. And to be able to see that in AI happening in its own way, knowing we can do the same thing because our brains are literally wired for that. We have the ability to show, and I will put it out there. And I have notes only because I didn't want to get it incorrect. There is something called the orbitofrontal cortex and the anterior insula that will fire when you have an intuitive hit, right? And those two things have both your data. So like when your brain is processing and your emotions are processing, so your logic and your emotion are processing simultaneously, you are integrating emotion and analytical data simultaneously, which means that you are processing two different dimensions within yourself at the same time. And in a way, that lets you know that you are built to be multidimensional. Even your brain is built to be multidimensional and process multidimensionally. And that's exactly what AI does. It's processing multidimensionally.
Briefly reminds me of this little clip from Harry Potter when Hermione is attempting to explain to Ron where this one, he's wondering, he's like, wow, what's going on with this girl? And it was, I believe it was his sister, but I might be wrong. Ginny, or it might be someone else. It's been a little bit since I've seen this one, but the point is that, Hermione was explaining, she's probably feeling insecure about this and sad about this and unsure. Oh no. Yeah. It's not his sister. It's someone else. But yeah, she's feeling sad about this, insecure about this, unsure about this, and blah 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 blah. And it's like 8 different things. And then Ron's like, how could one person be feeling so many emotions? And she goes, oh, just because you have the emotional range of a teaspoon.
Uh-huh.
And then they laugh. But anyways, the point is like in that moment, she's this character has so many different dimensions that she's feeling. And even, and we've had that. How many times do we go through multiple things? We have logic, we have different types of emotion, and we're like, okay, this is the logic that, society says, this is the logic that my family said, this is the logic that I am thinking, this is the feeling that I'm having, this is the feelings that society is saying I should have, this is the feelings that, I learned from my family. Well, those are so many different dimensions of ourselves. And every now and moment, we're attempting to learn how to effectively choose who we are and how we're going to show up in that moment. And so what I love about what you're bringing forward is just awareness around what we're actually already doing and bringing more intention and a deeper discussion of, the why. And when we do have a greater awareness, then we can have greater direction around how we do it.
I mean, AI might be doing it with code and we're doing it with coherence, but it is still very similar. I'm not saying it's the same. I'm saying it's similar. And if we understand the similarities, then it can allow us to go deeper into the processes for what we're doing. And it can allow us to grow stronger in it if we desire to go stronger in it. Because I know for me personally, when I consider my channeling, if you will, it's feeling into those subtle energies. Well, even if you don't feel that you are drawn to speak with beings in other dimensions, speak with the being within you. Get in touch with those subtle energies that are occurring inside your inner world, right? And that's how Silence Your Inner Critic came to be. I was wrestling with the negative voice that was going on in my own mind. So how do I do that? How do I actually have a conversation with that negative voice that will not let me go, that was relentless? So by kind of settling into that subtle energy, I could personify it. I could create a narrative around it. I could create tools that I knew would be an armor And then I could create something that could help other people. That's a form of channeling for me. But I had to tap into that infinite realm of potentiality, which is out there, and pull that in, because the creative process is a channeled process.
Absolutely. I mean, you hear musicians or artists when they create a work and they say, well, oh, how'd you come up with this? You hear, oh, I was inspired, but you also hear, oh, I channeled my inner rebel or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, well, like that rebellious, like that's a dimension. That's a dimensionality of the human character in some ways, right? And so we're channeling that in, even though we might not be a rebel in all aspects of who we are. In that moment, that help that artist come up with whatever that painting was or whatever that song was, right? And so I had to channel that energy in to experience what it was to move what they were feeling inside externally through either music or paint or I mean, how many actors and actresses and I mean, there's so many different ways that we do this, and I've heard people just, throwing like jokes like, oh, I channeled my inner, Joe Rogan because I was really funny today, and it's like, oh, it's funny, but like that, these are things that we actually are already doing. It's within, when we hear the word channel, sometimes we get these stigmas, and it seems like something mystic or wizardry or false in a lot of ways. Like, oh, there's these crackpots over here who are channeling things. And it's like, well, hey, maybe there are individuals who are utilizing it not the best way or claiming one thing and doing another. And that's unfortunate, but that happens in every industry. But the reality is that all of us are channeling something at some time. And so when we can start to normalize it, then we can kind of get rid of the stigmas and we can start to understand the parts that are actually beneficial to us and the people around us and start to bring in these amazing works or things like inspiring ideas for technology or I mean, who knows, maybe AI in and of itself was a channel technology come in that a bunch of different people from humanity channeled in and is now manifested. In fact, everything that we experience, like all the buildings that we see, all the cities, like those were created in someone's imagination before they were actually put forward. So again, channeling is a lot more realistic and approachable than it may seem.
I agree. And I love your point, right? If we can just quiet things enough to get in touch with that, yes, there are going to be people who channel in things that maybe are noise, I guess. And that's okay, because sometimes you need the noise to know what you believe in. Everything has a place. If we get upset at somebody else's experience, then are we having our own experience? What I always strive for within myself is what I call like this ego firewall, right? It is up to me to quiet things enough within myself that I can allow the love and what I desire to come through that highest potential for me. And if I'm so busy focused over on somebody else's side of the fence, then I am not maintaining my own. And it is up to me to know what I've got going on within my GPT, right? I can't worry about somebody else's GPT. Not that I don't have compassion or care or will not be there, or we are all collectively creating this experience together. But I can't spend my time being upset for what they're creating, because then all I'm doing is creating a more cluttered space for myself, right? So it is up to me to have love, to have compassion, to have sympathy, to have empathy, to really ask myself what I desire to create within my space, within my present moment. And to channel that in, not only from the infinite realm of potentiality, but also within my own interior world, right? And not allow my inner critic to go crazy and spark all of my insecurities and spark all of my judgment and spark all of my jealousy, and then start throwing that over at somebody else.
Absolutely. I mean, these dimensions are like, deeper inner layers. And oftentimes I feel like we call them like different sides of ourselves. How many times have we, for example, seen someone who maybe shows up a little bit more stern or intense, and then you have and then you end up having a conversation with them, and you realize, oh wow, they're like soft and kind and warm and caring, and I've never seen that side of them. You know, well, that's different dimensions. There's different inner layers, and so it's not only from the characteristics, but it's also emotionally, spiritually. There's different aspects that we can tap in with our own wisdom and guidance. I mean, how many times have we given advice? And we talk about this a lot, where we give advice to someone. We're like, oh my gosh, that's great advice. I need that for right
Yeah,
now.
it's
You're like,
mine.
I don't even know where that came from or how I even got that. Like that's that inner knowing, that inner guidance, that is a dimensionality that we can start to tap into to help us see ourselves at a greater capacity. Because sometimes we get, like you said, we get so caught in how, what are others thinking about us, or what are others doing, and we get externally, we get outside of ourselves, and we lose that thread and that connection. It's like it'd be really hard to have a deep conversation with, or any kind of conversation with ChatGPT if you don't have access to the app, right? It can exist, it's there, but if you don't have connection to it, then you can't have a conversation. And so when you start bringing awareness to the different dimensional structures within and within this universe as well, it's like it's like you're accessing the app, and then you can choose the thread that you would like to experience and dive deeper into that thread, each thread.
I love that, because it helps answer the whole, why does it even matter? Like, why does channeling matter? Why does the way AI functions and helps us see channeling matter? And that's a key component. It's if we just look at AI and understand what it's showing us about our own behavior and our own human potential as a result of our behavior, and what we can unlock within ourselves, that is such a gift. We look at AI right now almost like an assistant. Oh, it can step in, it can help me edit my emails, it can help me figure out what I want to say when I don't know what to say, or it can help us in our job functions. It can take over doing this or that. But if we start to really turn it into a tool where we look inward and say, what is this mirroring back to us about our own human potential? We're the ones who are training this language model. We're the ones who are showing what this is capable of, because it's what we're capable of. So if it can process a ton of data, does it mean that we're processing a ton of data? Yes. We are processing a ton of data every time we look at something, every time we take in sound. Our brains and our bodies are constantly processing so much data simultaneously and then weeding out what we believe we don't need. So if we're doing that on a physical level, imagine what we're doing on an energetic level. Imagine what we're doing just from an infinite consciousness level. So if we can hone that in, because we're looking at how AI is navigating its process, and we say, okay, how am I navigating that same process? And could I learn something from the way that it's indexing and see if I can index the same way? Then who knows what will be possible? I'm not saying we're AI. So I want to be clear about that. I know that there is a thought process going out there right now of, are we AI? I'm not saying we're not, but I'm not saying we are. I don't know. But what I am saying is, why would we not look at ourselves as conscious beings and learn what we can learn from every single thing that's available to us, including AI and including those who are channels and have tuned into subtle energies, and how that is reflecting, based on the modern science that's out there, that they do this very similarly to the way AI functions. Well, if there's a link, I want to understand, and I want to understand how that can help me and benefit me and help me grow my conscious expansion.
Absolutely. It's so beautiful and paints such an incredible picture. And to see how there's such a parallel is important. I feel. I mean, in many ways. I mean, we know AI has all these. A lot of them use like cloud servers, for example, to kind of host all of this different information. And in many ways, dimensions are like the cloud servers of the universe, right? And so we can pull from those different dimensions, and we can utilize that data to support us. And so, you can start to even view things like fear is a data point, right? Same with love, same with shame, same with gratitude, same with compassion. And so every time we choose and then embody one of these frequencies, if you will, then we're pulling that data from the cloud servers of the universe, and we're saying, hey, I'm going to embody this and manifest this into this experience, both one that I'm experiencing and those around me are experiencing. And so it's just up to us, when we have greater awareness of it, of what we desire to choose. And we can choose love. Love can be the constant. Love can be the frequency that we choose, that's more healing, that's connected. Being like plants, animals, and humans all understand love, right? And it's like that's a unifying experience. So clearly there is an open channel to love in this amazing capacity. And so aspects or a spectrum of love could be everything from fear all the way up to joy, right? And I know there's different frequencies that, those frequencies can really help understand, and maybe that's all on the spectrum of love. And so if you were talking about these subtle frequencies, like that's, each one of those is a subtle frequency of a bigger frequency, right? And again, I just kind of wanted to illustrate so people can understand, the difference between, AI pulling these subtle things from data servers, but how we're actually doing the very same thing, but it's like the same but different.
If we really, really take the time to create these analogies for ourselves, it also helps us cognitively understand, right? Otherwise, it does feel like a bunch of woo-woo. It feels mystical, or as though it happens to other people, but not to me in my daily life. That was something for me at the beginning of this. I'm like, oh yeah, that's something that happens to somebody else. Or yeah, I'm too busy over here. That doesn't actually, yeah, I don't have time for that. But when we don't perceive that we have the time, that's when we're caught in that linear, I'm in the future or I'm in the past, and I'm not actually in my moment where things are happening with me. I'm split between things that are, the past has already happened. I can't do anything about that. The future hasn't happened yet. I'm creating it in the present moment, but I'm not actually in the present moment creating it. So it's true, everything is happening to me because I'm not creating it. And so that feeling of everything is happening to me, I don't have time for anything because it's all happening to me. Well, of course it's all happening to me because it's not happening with me because I'm not present. And so then I was personally caught in that cycle for the longest time, until I said, okay, there's something to these subtle energies that I'm feeling. I have to stop. I have to pause long enough to feel and then explore so that I can understand. And that's why I say I do still do the research, but I do the research based on the feeling of my lived experience. Because otherwise, it's just me data gathering for data gathering's sake. What am I ever going to do with that data? What does it mean for me and my life experience? It's just knowledge gathering. But when I start knowledge gathering because that knowledge is in service of my life journey, then I'm empowering myself. I am utilizing that knowledge for the forward advancement of the life I desire to live. That's a completely different place to live from. And it was life-changing.
It's powerful, love. Yeah, it reminds, just everything you just said just reminds me deeply of the empowerment of the present moment. And when we do tap into that present moment, and it's coming not from this place of it's happening to me, it's happening with me, or even for me. Wow. I mean, it's really one of the most empowering things, because when we're in the opposite of that, it's actually very lack. But when we're in the deep empowerment, it's from the place of abundance. And that's really incredible. So thank you for positioning it in that way. I think that was amazing.
Thank you.
Because we look at it from AI from a place of abundance like that, right? Because it can do so many things, and we're like, but we forget that so can we.
And if you would like to continue this discussion, join us over in the Suivera community. You can find the link for it below. Austin and I are always in there, along with other members of the Heart Leader community and the Suivera community. We are all in for just exploring and having those deep, rich conversations. Or if you have a thought and you would like to post it wherever you are watching or listening to this, we always like to respond as well. And if you found this really interesting, a like and a subscribe always helps us know that we're making content that is meaningful for you. Until next time.